بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى. أما بعد، يقول الله تبارك وتعالى في كلامه المجيد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم: فستذكرون ما أقول لكم وأفوض أمري إلى الله إن الله بصير بالعباد. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وبارك وسلم. My dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, the training that the Sahaba Ikram went through in the first 13 years in Makkah, that served as a character building phase. And the desired attributes and traits that Allah wanted to see, those were inculcated in them. And then when they migrated to Medina Munawwara, when the halal and the haram, the do's and the don'ts started coming down, Allah Azza wa Jal started revealing verses. It became easy for them. Not only that, but not only the do's and the don'ts, but when they stood in the battlefield against their enemy, those traits, those sifat, those attributes, for example, sabr. What is sabr? We can say it, easy for you to hear, easy for me to say. What is tawakkul? Easy for me to say and easy for you to hear, but to have the actual tawakkul in our life, trust in Allah, where we entrust our affairs to Allah Azza wa Jal. Quran speaks of this trust, and that is the topic for today. What does Quran say? Quran says, وَمَنْ يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. That the person who puts his trust in Allah, فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ, Allah is sufficient for him. Allah is enough for him. Quran says regarding tawakkul, another verse, وَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ وَكَفَى بِاللَّهِ وَكِيلًا. Put your trust in Allah. He is sufficient as wakil. He is a sufficient wakil. In other words, He is enough, sufficient as a disposer of your affairs, to take care of all your needs. وَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى الْحَيِّ الَّذِي لَا يَمُوتُ. Put your trust in one who is ever living. Who is ever living. Tawakkal ala al-hayy, on the one who is hayy. Alladhi la yamut, the one who does not die. That is the one who you should put your trust on. وَعَلَى اللَّهِ فَلْيَتَوَكَّلِ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. Another verse. And وَعَلَى اللَّهِ, put your trust in Allah. The believers should put their trust only and only in Allah. Allah, the word Allah is brought before in grammatical structure when the only on Allah. Normally the sentence structure would be, and the believers should put their trust in Allah. Correct? Where does the word Allah appear? At the end of the sentence. And believers should put their trust in Allah. But when you bring the word Allah to the front of the sentence and say وَعَلَى اللَّهِ, and only, it gives you the meaning only, and only on Allah فَلْيَتَوَكَّلِ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ, should the believers put their trust. Why? If you trust someone else, there is a good chance you will be disappointed. وَمَنِ اعْتَمَدَ عَلَى مَالِهِ فَقَدْ قَلَّ. A poet says, the person who puts his trust on his wealth, on his money, he will fall short. وَمَنِ اعْتَمَدَ عَلَى عِلْمِهِ فَقَدْ ضَلَّ. And the person who puts his trust on his knowledge, then he will go astray. وَمَنِ اعْتَمَدَ عَلَى سُلْطَانِهِ فَقَدْ زَلَّ. And the person who puts his trust on his position, his power, then he will definitely slip. And وَمَنِ اعْتَمَدَ عَلَى عَقْلِهِ, the person who puts his trust on his intelligence, فَقَدْ اِخْتَلَّ, then he will make a mistake. But وَمَنْ اعْتَمَدَ عَلَى اللَّهِ, the person who puts his trust on Allah, فَلَا ضَلَّ وَلَا قَلَّ وَلَا زَلَّ وَلَا اِخْتَلَّ. He will neither fall short, nor will he be disappointed, nor will he slip, nor will he go astray. So put our trust in Allah. What does it mean, tawakkul? Tawakkul does not mean to abandon resources. Tawakkul means that you adopt all the necessary resources at your disposal, understanding, having full conviction, realizing that the natija, the result, is in the hands of Allah. In legal terms, it's called due diligence, doing your due diligence. You have done everything humanly possible. The resources that Allah has given you, the energy, spending your energy, using your wisdom, your experience, your intelligence, sometimes using your financial resources to achieve a goal or to protect yourself from harm. Because sometimes you use your God-given resources to achieve something beneficial for yourself and your family, or you use those God-given resources to protect yourself and your family from harm. So, after having used those resources to benefit or protect yourself, you have the firm conviction that my efforts, all the efforts and all my resources, if Allah does not will not bring about any result at all. The natija, the result, is in the hands of Allah. The best example of this is in Surah Yusuf, where Yaqub alayhi salam, he is advising his sons as he's sending them off to Egypt to bring back grain and food. He says to his sons a strategy to protect them from harm. What does he say? قَالَ يَا بُنَيَّ, O my sons, لَا تَدْخُلُوا مِنْ بَابٍ وَاحِدٍ, do not enter from one gate. The old cities back then had a wall around it, and then there were gates, the north gate, the south gate, the east gate. He's advising his sons that do not enter from one gate. Imagine 11 sons, 6 foot tall, handsome, entering from one gate. It could either to protect them from the evil eye, because Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, al-aynu haqq, or to protect them from being ambushed by some enemy. Don't enter from one gate. وَدْخُلُوا مِنْ أَبْوَابٍ مُتَفَرِّقَةٍ, enter from different gates. Few of you enter from the north gate, few of you enter from the south gate, some from the east gate, some from the west gate. Why? By the way, let me stop here and say, this rule is also implemented by the Secret Service. The President of the United States and the Vice President of the United States never travel together. Correct? Why? If some harm is to come to them, it won't befall. That harm will not come to both of them. لا تدخلوا من باب واحد. We fail. We have shot ourselves in the foot. Over a decade ago, probably longer than that, some of you might remember, the Egyptian Air Force, their army, their top brass, their military generals got training in the United States for years and years, for 2 years plus, at the top military bases in America. And then after they got their training, what happened? They all boarded one plane, Egypt Air, and they took off from JFK, and it was shot down. We know who shot it down. As soon as it took off from JFK, what happened? لا تدخلوا من باب واحد. Do not enter from one gate. They should never have boarded the same plane. They should have put half of those on one plane, the other half on another plane. Why? Then Yaqub alayhi salam says to his sons, وَمَا أُغْنِي. This is a continuation of the same ayah. Do not enter from one gate, enter from different gates. وَمَا أُغْنِي أَنْكُمْ مِنَ اللَّهِ مِنْ شَيْءٍ. And I cannot protect you from this strategy that we are adopting cannot protect you from any harm that Allah decides for you. If Allah has decided some harm to come to you, this strategy is not going to protect you. وَمَا أُغْنِي أَنْكُمْ مِنَ اللَّهِ مِنْ شَيْءٍ إِنِ الْحُكْمُ إِلَّا لِلَّهِ. Indeed, the hukum, the final decision, is with Allah. وَعَلَيْهِ تَوَكَّلْتُ. And on Allah I have put my trust. Yaqub alayhi salam is saying, وَعَلَيْهِ فَلْيَتَوَكَّلِ الْمُتَوَكِّلُونَ. And those who put their trust on Allah, should those who put their trust, put their trust. This is what tawakkul is. To adopt the strategy, to adopt whatever is at your disposal. to benefit yourself and your family, or to protect yourself and your family from harm, but realizing that the result is in the hands of Allah. This has a calming effect on a person. Because when you know that I have done everything humanly possible and the business goes south, I have done everything humanly possible, but the business goes south, that has a calming effect, that I have put my trust in Allah. It was the will of Allah. A woman, she married at 22. 1 year later, her husband died in a car accident. She's 23. She's a widow. People came to her and told, your husband has died. He said, Allah, this is Allah's decision. If it was anyone else, they would have ended up in the psychiatric ward. What effect does these beliefs have on us as believers? We don't realize. Because we say, okay, because when a person starts blaming himself, that's when he has many of these issues, mental issues. There's no one to blame here, because you have done everything humanly possible. The result, the natija, is in the hands of Allah. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, his whole seerah is filled with this. Whether it was the battle of Uhud, wearing 2 body armors to protect himself. Did he not have tawakkul? Is there anyone who had more tawakkul than Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam? When he leaves Makkah for the hijrah, for the migration with Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu, Medina Munawwara is north of Makkah. Medina Munawwara is north. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, once he leaves Makkah, he travels south. Why did he travel south? 𝙁𝙊𝙉𝙏𝘼 is south. Why? Because Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam knows that everyone will be looking for him in the north. This is Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam adopting means to protect himself. He hires someone or designates someone to cover the footprints, the tracks in the sand. Why? Where's the tawakkul? No, you adopt the means. And then that person, because they were experts at tracking footsteps, footprints. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam designates someone to cover their tracks, as you would say. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam stays in the cave of Thawr for 3 days. Why not 1 day? Why not 2 days? Because 3 days on average is a person that, on average, a person will exert an effort to achieve something for 3 days. Then he will give up. That's what happened. After 3 days, they practically gave up, and they said that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam has escaped from us. He's well on his way to Medina. There's no way we can now catch him. They had all given up, and then after 3 days, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam comes out of his cave. This is the means that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam is adopting on one hand, but on the other hand, look at the. Someone passed out. We have a doctor in the house. Dr. Fez, can you please have a look? Yes. One person can call 911. Then Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, on the other hand, inshallah, everything will be okay. On the other hand, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, when the kuffar are right above him, and Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu says, "Oh Nabi of Allah, if they were to look down, they would see us. If they were to only cast their gaze downward, they would see us." What does Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam say to Abu Bakr? Ya Abu Bakr, ma dhannuka ya Abu Bakrin bi ithnain, Allahu thalithuhuma. What do you think? What is your opinion about those 2 people with whom the third is Allah? This is the trust. You see the means, and then you see the trust. They go hand in hand. So trust is tawakkul ala Allah, is not to abandon the means on one hand, or to adopt the means on the other hand, and forget about Allah, but it's to adopt the means while fully realizing that the natija, the result, is in the hands of Allah. And the best prime example of tawakkul in the life of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam is where Jabir radiallahu anhu narrates that Ghaza ma'an Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam qibla Najd. We went on an expedition with Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam towards Najd, And فَنَزَلَ وَتَفَرَّقَ النَّاسِ, the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and the Sahaba decided to pitch tent, to camp, to come off their mounts, their camels, their horses, their mules. And فَتَفَرَّقَ النَّاسِ, the people dispersed. Some Sahaba went to water their horses, some went to answer the call of nature, some went to take a nap. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he went, there's a lot of trees and bushes in the area. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam hung his sword on a tree and went to sleep. This person from an enemy tribe, he comes, he takes the sword. اخترط علي سيفي. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam describes this whole incident. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam sensed some movement, so he wakes up. فَاسْتَيْقَظْتُ. And this person is standing. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam is there lying, and he's standing with a sword, with Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam's sword, and saying, مَنْ يَمْنَعُكَ مِنِّي. Who is going to protect you from me? Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam replies, Allah. Mawla Abul Hasan Ali Nadwi rahmatullah alayhi replies, this was not the Allah of any Maulvi, this was not the Allah of any Khoja, this was not the Allah of any lay person, this was the Allah of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And he begins to tremble, فَسَقَطَ السَّيْفُ مِنْ يَدِهِ, and the sword fell from his hand. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam grabbed it and said, who will protect you from me? He began to plead, Anta khayru akhidin. You are the best person to hold a sword. Out of all the people who have ever held a sword in their hand, you are the best. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, do you bear witness that there is only one Allah and I am the messenger of Allah? He said, no, I don't. But u'ahiduka, but I make a pledge, I make a promise, an la uqatiluk, that I will not fight against you. And I will not help anyone who fights against you. I will not help anyone who is fighting against you. فَخَلَّى سَبِيلَهُ. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam left his path. Let's go home. He went back to his tribe and said, جِئْتُ مِنْ خَيْرِ النَّاسِ. I have come from the best of people. This is tawakkul. As I said in the beginning, easy for me to say, easy for you to hear. What is the essence of tawakkul? Do we have tawakkul in our hearts? May Allah Azza wa Jal give us tawakkul. Not only tawakkul, but all the sifatul matluba, all the sifat, the traits, the attributes that are desired by Allah Azza wa Jal. Please pray your sunnah.